Hi, Baird Warner. We're here today with Ryan Avery. He's a world champion public speaker whose keynotes and trainings are about improving communication, the power of storytelling, and motivating millennials. He teaches sales professionals like you guys how to utilize the power of communication and storytelling to go from A to the in their industry. Ryan is the best-selling and international author with more than 500 keynotes and trainings delivered worldwide. And we're going to be talking today about the same thing that I'm always talking to you about online presence. So Ryan, did I miss anything in your bio that you'd like our broker associates to know?
I'm a new homeowner. I think that's important for your associates to know. 2 months.
Absolutely. And that's your first home or just a new one?
Yeah, first home. Yeah, my wife and I have a 6-month-old, and we needed a house. The apartment didn't work anymore, so.
Okay, that is a specific target demographic in our industry.
Yes, I
so
know.
you literally fit a profile for us.
Yes.
So I think I've told you before, but I'm the guy at Baird Warner who's really focused on making it easier for our agents to have a great online presence.
Okay.
I'm sure you encountered some of the website portals in your shopping, and I'm sure whoever your agent did had a great website at their brokerage and all that stuff. But can you tell me sort of how you see that fitting into taking their business to the next level?
The most important thing on that subject is 98% of millennials, people my age, aren't going to buy anything until they first view it online. And that goes the same for a house, right? We don't go to a restaurant without first Yelping it. We don't go and buy a book before we search it for on Amazon. Same thing goes for a house as well. They want to see photos online. They want to see things to know that you are human, you are real. How much are you going to help them find the house, not a house? And all of that can be distributed and found online. So it's incredibly important when you want to reach my demographic.
And you said something interesting there about how you have to connect at a personal level, or maybe I'm putting words in your mouth a little bit. But you said you're looking for them to know if they're real and see if they're a person.
Yeah.
Can you just expand on that a little bit?
We buy from people. We don't buy from companies, right? So it's important to understand that every real estate agent, as being independent contractors, you're not representing Baird Warner, you're representing yourself, and that's who we buy from, right? That's who we buy from you, versus the 99%. What really differentiates them? Well, I can almost always look at every single one of them, and the difference between that 1% who are their top sales and the 99% who are not, the 1% connects, the 99% convinces. Very big difference. So are you, when you're connecting with the people that you work with, are you convincing them why this is the great house? Are you convincing them why they should work with you? Are you convincing them? No one wants to be convinced. People want to feel connected. So when you find out what their interests are, what they want, why they want that, sending handwritten thank you letters, being human and connecting on that emotional level and that human level, you're going to have much more opportunity to sell more homes.
How does connecting really differ online, right? Because it can be more challenging, I think, in that environment.
Yeah, well, what's important to understand about online is there's a variety of different mediums, right? I hear a lot of people say, well, communication, people don't communicate anymore. No. People still communicate. The channels of the way that we have communicated have changed, right? If your average age or an agent here is 55, 60, they had the opportunity to either pick up the phone or meet in person, right? Well, those of us who are in our 20s or 30s, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got podcasts, we've got blogs. We have a variety of different ways, so it's spread thin. So what you have to do is ultimately find the best channel to connect with your specific audience that you're going after. Now, for real estate, in my opinion, the best are videos and photos. So being able to share videos, being able to share photos, being able to connect with people through story online with videos and photos is very effective.
So aside from videos and photos, which I think is always something that people look at, like what other tips do you have for folks who are trying to, reinvent the way that they communicate with their sphere?
That's a good word. So I tell people, don't reinvent, remarket. very big difference, right? You don't have to, it's the same process. You're meeting with someone, you're convincing them that you're the right agent, then sell the house. That's, since day one, that's how it's worked, right? So you don't have to reinvent that process. What you have to do is then reinvent how you market to that person and to that process. So ultimately you have to find what works best for you. Now, like you said, I'm one of your profiles, right? I'm a new dad, a first-time homeowner, millennial, right? Well, you can continue to do what you've done and skim the surface of the amount of potential that you have, or you can say, what does Ryan Avery type want? Well, he wants video, he wants access to it 24/7 because sometimes he needs to look at it between, I am a keynote speaker, so I got to look at it between speeches, but if you're working from 9 to 5, you might look at it on your way home or right before. So 24 access is very important. And you can have that with websites, with blogs, with videos, with realtor.com, with these different examples of being able to give them the 24/7 access. So I wouldn't say reinvent, I would say remarket and look at what the market wants.
Right. Respond to it and meet your consumer where they are, right? Instead of trying to bring them to where you are.
Absolutely.
Great. And so on these portals, are a big part of an online presence for our agents is this sort of reviews, ratings, testimonials kind of thing. And I like to say a lot that this isn't all that new, right? Michelin has been doing it since 1914 in France, and Siskel and Ebert were famous downtown here doing it about movies. So ratings aren't that new, but how do you leverage those to make that connection?
Well, it's social proof, right? So with millennials especially, 50% of millennials buy word of mouth versus paid advertisement. So we know that 1 out of 2 millennials, people my age, are going to buy something word of mouth versus a paid advertisement. So when you get a millennial talking about, hey, this is the real estate agent that I worked with, or hey, this is what I've done, or this is this is the company that I've worked with. These are the ratings in a way that I've shared, and you put it on realtor.com and you put it on there. That's social proof. That's word of mouth. That's more important to us than a paid advertisement.
Right. And so I think that's an interesting distinction, because I think our industry has always had an incredible respect for referrals, what people think of as word of mouth. But what you're saying is that at least amongst millennials, and I think in a growing way amongst consumers in general, those reviews are considered in that same category as word of mouth.
I know it is, yeah, absolutely.
That people are thinking about it that way. I think we always draw this distinction in our industry between reviews and word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. When the last restaurant you ate at, you probably Yelped it, right? You probably looked at it online. You probably did something where you said, "What are the reviews of this Thai restaurant?" Right? And you're like, "Oh no, not for me then."
As the folks at Baird Warner who pay attention to my interviews and these videos know, I'm a big fan of Yelp. We just did a project with them before Realtor.com.
Yeah, and those of you who are listening to this right now, you do the same thing. What makes it think anything different that other people wouldn't do the same about you? You've never met those people who have done those reviews. You don't know their background, you don't know anything except for user 5567 or Johnny, right? And then you trust that person because there's 67 reviews and they're all 4.5 stars. Well, if 67 online users who are typically mean when they're online are actually being nice, well, that's social proof. That's word of mouth marketing.
One of your things is about sort of using storytelling as a communication tool. And I think that your thesis is that it can be a critical tool for persuasion and retention. Can you talk about how storytelling strategies play out online? Especially because I think a lot of folks in our industry think that the online world is about lead generation. And I think that it can also be a very powerful tool for retaining your customers, keeping in touch with them, and getting them to be repeats.
Absolutely. So what I tell people about storytelling is people share, people buy stories. So when you wrap a story around who you are and what you do, more people are going to like you, more people are going to share you, and more people are going to buy from you. Story is the most powerful story or communication strategy that we've all used. Every value, everything we've ever learned has been through story. From the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or the Dr. Seuss books, or all of those are stories that then were instilled with those values, those things that we've learned. Grandma telling us this or mom telling us this, it's all learned through story. So what happens is somewhere along the line, you get into the professional world and you stop telling stories and you start giving facts and you start giving things that don't connect with people, they convince people. And when you do that, you've lost interests, because we are all wired to learn from stories, to like stories, to share stories, to buy stories. So I'm in a very similar business in the sense of 100% of my business is referral, right? I don't get to keynote unless someone has seen me and say, no, you need to hire Ryan Avery. It's the same concept, right? No, you don't need to work with this real estate agent, you need to work with this real estate agent. And we trust that person who guides us to the right one, right? Now, one of the reasons why I keep getting referred as the keynote speaker is because I'm constantly sharing my story online. Hey, I'm in New York City. Hey, today I'm in Chicago keynoting. I'm letting people know online, this is my life, this is my story, this is what's happening now. Now, here's the difference between what a leader would do or the leader would do when they share their story online. So many people push out what they're doing and how cool it is for them, and nobody cares really, unless you're J.K. Rowling or if you're someone famous, right?
Right.
But they do care when you add value to them, right? And so what we want to do is when we're sharing our story online, we want to be adding value. What is value? Value is something they can use. Doesn't mean they do, doesn't mean they will. It's something they can think of to say, I got something from Ryan Avery from that post, from that tweet, from that blog article, from that photo. And it can be as simple as like the photo I said, hey, I'm speaking in New York City today, and I showed a photo of me in New York, and I said, what's one of the best trips you've ever taken? And that adds value because it gets people to think, and it gets them to remember, right? Today, I'm going to post after I speak here, after I keynote here. I'm most likely going to post because y'all have been phenomenally personable, and I love that, right? Because a lot of the companies that I speak at are professional, which is fantastic. You've done such a great job of being personal. I mean, when you booked me, the main focus of my keynote was, yeah, we want professional strategies, but we really want some personal strategies too. That's a great sign of a company, right? So I'll post, hey, today I'm keynoting in Chicago, and one of the great lessons that I learned from today was, let's be more personal. Where can you be more personal in your everyday life with your clients? That's value added.
Right. And that post not only connects with someone who might be thinking about hiring you, but it connects with the places where you have keynoted in the past, where you have...
It's done both. It's a win-win. It shares my story by saying, wow, look, Ryan's keynoting all over the place, but it also adds value. I have to make sure that I'm always adding value. We always need to be thinking, how am I adding value to the people that want to do business with me?
Right. And you're taking what in our industry I think would be kind of analogous to the just sold post or just sold postcard.
Yeah.
Right. And you're giving it a little bit of a narrative piece to connect with the story and a little bit of value add to make that very same subject, which is, hey, I just closed another deal. Right.
And think about this.
Into a story.
You take, those of you who are listening right now, you take nothing else away from me today. That's a great concept, right? 99.9% of people say, just sold this house. Sold this house, look at me. And you're like, okay, how does that add value? Think if you said, sold this house, here's what I learned from this sale. And then you added something. If you're not learning something from the sale, then you're doing something wrong, right? Every time you sell a house, I know you're learning something. Every time I keynote, I've keynoted hundreds and hundreds of times, I still learn something, right? Or I'm reminded of something.
Something about how to deal with people or some little tiny nuance
of a house. So say, hey, I sold this house. One thing that I learned from this experience was X, Y, and Z. So then that way, when people know that you sold a house, you're learning and you're adding value to them. You start doing that on your posts, on your social media, on who you're talking to, it's going to change the way you sell.
Right, because it shows that you care about more than the sale, which I think is true for 100%. Our agents. It's just hard to translate that sense of accomplishment into into that changed form of communication that makes it easier to connect?
I mean, it's hard to diet, right? It's very easy to pick up the dieting book, right? So it's very easy to listen to this podcast, and it's very easy to listen to this audio recording. It's very hard to do. So those of you who say, all right, I'm going to start doing that, you'll start to see the difference. Once you start going to the gym and going and doing abs every week, eventually that six-pack is going to show.
Great. I think that's actually a great place to end.
Okay.
If for no other reason than you just said, if there was nothing else for them to take away today, and I think that's absolutely true. You've got to find a way to infuse some personality and some narrative into those things while adding value at the same time. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that the folks listening today are thinking about where they can learn more about Realtor.com and the rest of improving their online presence. If you missed the rollout information, videos are available on the Realtor.com start page and my profile on Facebook at work. This week we've been talking about sort of reviews, recommendations, and connecting with people online. Last week we talked about how to make your profiles and listings shine, including the high resolution photos that we'll be uploading for you. And the week before that it was why Realtor.com matters, how they are still relevant in our marketplace, and how we really have to up our game. Next week we're going to be talking about how advertising works, because just about everything has changed on Realtor.com since the last time you guys checked. So thank you a whole bunch, Ryan. I really appreciate your sitting down with me.
Absolutely. Thank you.